everyone, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update this morning. I hope you're doing great, and we're going to be looking at Tammy. So Tammy is just offshore of the Lesser Antilles, and those dangerous impacts, those hurricane impacts will be spreading across the Leeward Islands as we head into later this morning, going into the afternoon and through to tomorrow for some areas. And so we're going to be taking a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center. We'll also talk about that disturbance in the Southwest Caribbean very briefly, as well as Hurricane Norma over in the Pacific, which is bringing dangerous conditions to portions of the Baja California Peninsula. So let's get straight into it, and we're kickstarting things with the Eastern Pacific. Let's go on to Norma. So there you can see it is still a major hurricane as it approaches the Baja, and there you can see all that activity in association with it. So there are those hurricane and tropical storm warnings for the southern Baja as the system is going to be making its way in, and right now it is moving to the north at 9 miles per hour with sustained winds at 115 miles per hour at the maximum, and then it should make its way to the northeast and eventually make that turn in as we head into around Monday. So weakening is expected of the hurricane as we're going to be heading into early next week. So it should continue to weaken over the coming days, but nonetheless those dangerous impacts, those strong winds, the storm surge, the heavy rainfall, that is going to be a problem. And then in areas of higher terrain, that rainfall can actually induce those mudslides. And so guys, if you're being affected by Norma, please stay safe. Let's now hop over into the Atlantic, and here we can see at a wide view that we've got Tammy right there, but then there are those other two areas out in the main development region. So we've got that very robust trough right there, which is propagating westward. Some models even want to show some development, but this should approach the Lesser Antilles as we head into early next week. If it sustains enough activity, then it could help to induce some rainfall. But as it relates to development, definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that. But the imminent concern right now is Tammy. Now let's zoom into the Caribbean, as if we look in the southwestern part of the region, there you can see all those disorganized showers and thunderstorms associated with an area of low pressure. So that is the disturbance. We can see that there's a 20% chance of development just to the north of Panama, and it should slowly drift to the west, and eventually as it moves inland, chances will completely decrease for it to develop over in the Atlantic basin. But with all the activities, could produce some flooding rains across portions of Central America, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. There could be some periods of very heavy rainfall induced as a result of this disturbance here. So we'll keep an eye on it, but again, formation chance remains pretty low. And then as we go back to the satellite imagery here, we see that there isn't a whole lot happening for some other areas, but it's thunderstorm activity earlier near Bonaire. And then as we head over to the Lesser Antilles for Trinidad and even going to Barbados, there has been some rainfall activity, even some thunderstorms induced by Tammy. And then for some areas, those tropical storm force winds have been kicking up. Let's head on to the latest cone forecast from the National Hurricane Center this morning, and here we can see it. So Tammy is sustaining those 80 mile per hour winds, but as it's going to be passing through, it could strengthen a bit more, maybe winds going up to 85, potentially 90 miles per hour as it is going to be moving over the islands. Let's wait and see what's going to be happening through today, but it seems as though it will remain a Cat 1 with stronger gusts, and currently it is moving to the northwest at 9 miles per hour, so still not moving very quickly. And those impacts, those hurricane impacts, as I said, they're impending. They're gonna start today for those areas under that hurricane warning, and there are some updates. So let's talk about the watches and the warnings in effect. So there is a hurricane warning in effect for Guadeloupe, Antigua, and Barbuda. And by the way, those areas are likely to experience the worst of Tammy. They're going to be very close to the center, and as such, a better chance of experiencing those hurricane conditions. And so next, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, these are the areas under a hurricane warning. So these hurricane conditions will be bearing down as we head through today and even into tomorrow. Next is a hurricane watch in effect for Dominica, Saba, and St. Eustatius, and then a tropical storm storm warning also in effect for these same areas. What does that mean? Well, tropical storm conditions are expected, and there could be hurricane conditions. So those wind gusts could be up to hurricane force as the system is going to be making its way by. And then there is a tropical storm watch now issued for the British Virgin Islands, and Martinique remains under a tropical storm watch. It has been discontinued for Barbados, even though there has been some heavy rainfall moving through. You can let me know what's happening for your area now. But going back to the storm here, let's take a look at this, showing the extent of the tropical storm force wind field in that mustard shading. There you can see it. So likely some strong gusts across portions of Guadeloupe and even Dominica, potentially even Martinique as well. Maybe you guys are feeling those gusts, and those seas are rough out there as well as a result of this hurricane. And then these conditions are only going to be spreading across the Leeward Islands as we head through today. Eventually the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, will be experiencing tropical storm conditions. So those will be possible from the system, those periods of heavy rainfall and even those strong winds as well. Now, as it relates to the impacts with the rainfall totals, it remains what has been anticipated for some time now. So 4 to 8 inches across the Leeward Islands. So that would include everywhere under that hurricane warning, and also for Saba and St. Eustatius and Dominica. So there could be maximum totals of 12 inches of rain. And then for sections of the Windward Islands, I would say going to Barbados, Martinique, even St. Lucia as well, there could be 2 to 4 inches with maximum amounts of 6 inches of rainfall. And even heading further south to Trinidad, with all that moisture feeding into Tammy, that has been resulting in some activity across Trinidad. So there could be some periods of heavy rain which may trigger flooding there as well. Going to the British and U.S. Virgin Islands and also eastern Puerto Rico, 1 to 2 inches with maximum amounts of 4 inches. So a lot of heavy rainfall expected as we're going to be heading through the weekend. And also the storm surge, the winds of Tammy pushing the water on shore. Water levels could raise as much as 1 to 3 feet above normal. So the winds of the cyclone pushing all that water in, that could inundate or flood coastal areas if those conditions are already bearing down for you, especially if you're close to the system in Dominica or even for Guadeloupe. Please do not take any unnecessary risks through today. Those conditions will continue to deteriorate. For some areas, there has been that on and off rainfall activity, especially going up to the Leeward Islands, and conditions are only going to worsen as we head throughout today. So it's not there just yet, but it is almost there. Now, as we head on to some model data, we're looking at the track guidance here. We can see that the tracks remain pretty tight for the next couple of days, the next 2 days or so. And then eventually, though, we see some crazy spreading out going on, because the future of Tammy and where it will track remains a bit uncertain. Some models want to take it off to the west, close to the U.S. Some want to take it curving out, as what the National Hurricane Center's cone is depicting. So there is a lot of uncertainty with what is going to be happening next with the hurricane. But let's take it one day at a time here. And then going on to intensity guidance here, we can see that most of these models remain in that yellow shading, which is representative of a Cat 1 hurricane. We can see a couple of them showing that it might make it a Cat 2. 2 of them saying, hey, it could be a Cat 3 hurricane. Who knows? But I don't think that this is going to be stronger than a Cat 1. It could strengthen while passing through the islands as that extensive area makes its way through. Yes, it could strengthen, maybe winds up to 85, 90 miles per hour, as I said, but that is still in Cat 1 territory there. So should strengthen a little bit. There may be some fluctuations because shear is impacting it. That is why we haven't seen much intensification since yesterday, and that is why it's not really looking like a defined hurricane on these satellites either. So that wind shear isn't the most conducive right now, and that is what has been impacting the system. Again, as we head through today, conditions will continue to deteriorate. So some areas already feeling those tropical storm force winds, experiencing those periods of heavy rainfall. It is going to get worse for the Leeward Islands as we head through today. And then for tomorrow, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, potentially eastern Puerto Rico as well. So that is the latest on Tammy, guys. And I also want to bring your attention to the rainfall activity expected through today. So I haven't actually looked at this for the Caribbean on a whole. So across in those areas of more color, the more colorful areas we see in those burgundies, purples, reds, oranges, those are areas expected to receive some substantial rainfall as we head through today. So Euro is expecting that across Central America, going to near the the Pacific coast of Guatemala, going to El Salvador, for most of Honduras, going to the Bay Islands, and even down through Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. And then down in Colombia and Venezuela, there could be some periods of very heavy rainfall. So flooding could even be triggered across some of these areas. And then for sections of Guyana, some increase in rainfall activity is expected. ABC Islands, there could be some downpours through today. So hopefully that's going to be the case. I have been seeing the frustration in the comments, so let's hope that that is going to come to fruition. As we head over to Trinidad, Tobago, there could be some heavy downpours at times. We have been seeing that since yesterday with the system. Again, all that moisture feeding in is likely to help with bringing some increase in rainfall activity to Trinidad. Barbados could see some additional rainfall activity through today. Going to Grenada and the southern Grenadines, we're not seeing where a whole lot is expected. There will be a chance of some showers, but nothing too crazy. And then heading up to St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, and then of course heading up north, Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, headed towards St. Barthélemy, St. Martin, and Anguilla. These areas will experience a lot of rainfall from Tammy as we head through to tomorrow, and then again over in the Virgin Islands. And for eastern Puerto Rico, western side won't experience as much. As we head to Hispaniola, going up into the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands, there could be some periods of heavy rainfall. And then for some isolated spots in Jamaica as well, similar story as we head over to Grand Cayman. Not as much expected for Little Cayman and Cayman Brac, and even for most of Cuba, the northern Bahamas area right there. So that is what is expected through today, guys. That is what I wanted to share with you in this update. Those conditions are on the way. If it has not started for you as yet and you are under a hurricane warning, it's coming. So as the system bears down, please do not take any unnecessary risks. And of course, stay tuned for my next update. If there's anything very important between now and when I post my evening update, that will be posted to my second channel over on Weather Extra. So I post additional updates as well as other content surrounding meteorology and even nature on a whole on that channel. You can go ahead and check it out and subscribe and tap the bell so you know whenever I post. But that is it for right now, guys, and I hope you found this video to be quite informative. However, if you have any questions, as always, please leave them in the comments. I'll respond to you once I get the chance to do so, and remember to always be weatherwise.